welcome back to Finding Wendy. Well, sorry I didn't post last week, but as many of you know, or some of you know, I was away all week in Ottawa. And so I'm going to report on that. I'm going to report on my stats, report how it was to be for the first time in a long time away, and also to talk about this. First, my stats. So it was a very interesting week because I was away at a conference all week in Ottawa, which is our nation's capital, and kind of more or less an experiment to see how well I do when I'm not in my own protected zone of my house. So, of course, when you're in your own environment, you eat the food that you know that you can eat. And when you're away, you're all of a sudden confronted with all sorts of foods that you normally don't eat. And you're also confronted with your old habits. So very interesting things have happened. So I'm going to turn it around a bit this time. And I'm going to talk about my experience in Ottawa and then talk about my stats. So, and also I'm going to be talking about the last bariatric meeting that we had before I went to Ottawa. So I have some notes from that as well. Okay, so on Monday, so that was on, let me just get my calendar up here. So yeah, on Monday, June 10th, I took a train, and I've never been on a Canadian Via Rail train. I've been on tons of European trains, but no Via Rail train. And I took a train to Ottawa to be part of the Orchestra's Canada conference. And so basically it was a gathering of all of the different administrators from different orchestras from across the country. So there were people there from the Toronto Symphony, Montreal Symphony, Quebec Symphony, Vancouver Symphony, Calgary Symphony, Winnipeg Symphony, the Mississauga Symphony Orchestra. I was representing them. And it was a week long of keynote speeches from some very important and interesting people, and also workshops on how-to workshops. So basically, a lot of people in the arts industry are always trying to find a way to get communities to come through their doors and enjoy classical music concerts. So basically, it was a how-to. So how other people experience and sharing their experiences of how they got their communities to come inside and join them in their concert halls. So it was a very interesting, very tiring week because, of course, as you know, most conferences start right at 9 a.m. So you're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and having breakfast. And so the interesting thing about that was the fact that the breakfast options are not good. When you're going on into a conference and things like that, it's carbs, and more carbs. So you're confronted with a table full of danishes and muffins and cookies and croissants and all carbs, like and a fruit salad, carbs, sugar. And so I went to the organizer and I said, just a little tip, maybe for next time, dietary, some people that have dietary restrictions, so as myself, there's absolutely no protein on this table whatsoever. So as it ended up, I made a mistake, and as it turns out, my breakfast was included with my hotel. And so the next day I immediately started having eggs for breakfast at the hotel. So that helped. And I had bought some yogurt at the local convenience store. So I was able to have some yogurt in the morning, and that was my protein. So it was very interesting because, of course, you're going to be having lunch with your colleagues. You're going to have dinner with your colleagues. So again, there was a lunch spread, a giant buffet lunch spread with all sorts of bread. Bread, and more bread, and some salad. And so, you know what? I had a sandwich. I had sandwiches all week long. I had sandwiches for lunch, and I had some carbs at breakfast as well. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take a little bit, like a half a sandwich or something like that, but I'm not going to cut myself completely off from having or taking part in that. Same thing with at night after a workshop or conference is over for the day. I would go out with colleagues to dinner. And I went to the local bar, and the first night I was there, I actually bumped into Justin Trudeau. Yep, I bumped into him. He was coming down from Parliament Hill, and there were a whole bunch of Secret Service agents talking into the wrists that were surrounding him. And he was just in his jeans and a blue shirt, and he happened to be walking right by me. And I went, Justin! And he came over and he gave me a big hug. And he said, oh, it's great to see you. And then I said, can we do a selfie? He says, no, I'm off the clock. I can't do a selfie. So I couldn't get a selfie, but I did follow him into the bar, and I quickly took a picture. And it was more of a side view, and here's the picture of him. I don't know, I'm a bit starstruck by Justin. Still, there are a lot of people and colleagues who are absolutely disappointed with him, but I still think he's great. And so so these Secret Service agents, and I was in my scooter in this bar, and they come up to me and they go, Madam, we're going to have to ask you to leave. You're blocking the way and you're taking up too much room with that scooter. You're going to have to leave. And I'm like, okay, sure, I don't want to make a problem. I don't want to, ruffle any feathers, and certainly don't want to be arrested and carted away to some cell block inside Parliament Hill. So I, of course, left. And that was, and the colleagues who live in the Ottawa area, they said, I've been living here for 30 years. I've never seen Justin. And I walk out on the street and there he is. That was funny. But anyway, so at night, I actually had some French fries. We went into this bar that was called the Beer Markt, which is like a Belgian cafe, a Belgian beer place where you can get any kind of Belgian beer under the sun, to which Belgian beer is very delicious. I think American beer is 3% alcohol, Canadian beer is 5% alcohol, and Belgian beer is 9 to 10% alcohol. So, of course, I'm going to have Belgian beer, and I ordered a Leffe, L-E-F-F-E, Leffe. And I wanted some fries, and they serve fries the Belgian way, where you get the fries with mayonnaise, because that's the Belgian Dutch way to have it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. Just going to have a few, not going to go crazy and eat, pound it back. So it was more, I guess my experience from the course that I took last year, the mindfulness eating thing that I took about you can eat everything, you can not feel guilty about it, and just take small portions of it. And that's what I did. So the whole week I just basically had what was available to me, but took small portions and didn't go crazy. And that and the result of that is coming up. A little video that I will show at the end that I did at night of Parliament Hill, because I promised everybody to do a little video. And so my stats. So the last time I weighed in, I weighed 229. And I went on the scale this morning because I was terrified. I was terrified as to what was going to happen, because I had so many things. I had chocolate. I had fries, I had beer, but I only drank half a glass of beer. But I had a lot of carbs, I had sandwiches, so it was more or less a kind of a normal eating way, but not my normal eating way. And guess what? I lost 2 pounds. I couldn't believe it. I got on the scale and it said 227 this morning. I was like, what? My head went like this. So I was celebrating. As I was celebrating, watching the Raptors win the NBA championships in my hotel room in Ottawa. I wish I was in Toronto, of course, for that incredible moment, because all of Toronto descended to the center of the city, which is called Yonge Dundas Square, which is kind of like Times Square of New York. And they said there were something like 50,000 people that were that had gone down to Dundas Square to celebrate. And apparently there were celebrations all night long. Nobody slept in the downtown core because it was so noisy, fireworks going off and everything. So tomorrow is the big parade here, and they're going to come through the whole city and end at City Hall. So I had to go down to the local mall, which is called the Eaton Center, and to the sports store and pick up my Champions Raptors hat. And I will be at the parade tomorrow for sure. And that's going to be lots of fun. That I've lost now a total of 223 pounds, and I lost 2 pounds this week. And, I'm at the 15-month mark, and I'm glad to see that I'm still losing weight. So I'm only 27 pounds away from Wonderland, which is amazing. So in a month today, I will be in Amsterdam. So that's going to be the next experiment. So I'm going to be in Amsterdam for 10 days. And of course, I'm going to be confronted with all of the delicious, amazing Dutch delicacies and food. And so now I know that I can pretty well have everything because I have a sleeve. I don't have any dumping syndrome. But I just have to take small bites and small portions. And then, don't not eat it. So I will have a pastry. A pastry in Dutch is called a gebak. So I will have maybe a quarter of a gebak. Or I will have some Dutch herring. It's herring season right now. The Dutch, they eat their herring like this. They hold the raw herring. They hold the herring up like this and dip it in onion, and you eat it with the tail. You hold it by the tail and you eat it like that. So that's a good source of protein for sure. And so the Bariatric Support Group meeting that I went to before I went to, I'm just going to take off the hat because it's kind of hot to wear a hat. Anyway, go Raptors. Go Raptors. Yes, champions, 2019 champions. We beat Golden State Warriors. That was amazing. So Ottawa was absolutely celebrating as well. Actually, every city in Canada was celebrating. There was a Raptors, a Jurassic Park. They call it Jurassic Park, so like a square in the city. So the area in front of the Scotiabank arena where the games play was called Jurassic Park. So it was packed with thousands of people in Raptors gear. And Drake was there on the stage and entertaining everybody while the game was going on. And there's this giant screen and everybody's watching the game down there. So then there's Raptors places, these Jurassic Parks all over Canada. And apparently the NBA said that there was more gear sold for this championship than any gear ever. Well, it makes total sense. We have 36 million Canadians and only one basketball team, and everybody bought this basketball gear after or before they won the championship. So anyway, with the the last support group meeting, we were talking about setting goals. So it was one of those round table discussions where we talked about things that we need to do in order to continue setting goals. So in order for you to be successful, and for me, let's talk firsthand me, in order for me to be successful with this bariatric program, I need to continually set goals. So the first question was, did you set a goal weight? What is your goal weight? Did you ever have a discussion with your surgeon or your nurse practitioner or anybody on the bariatric team what your goal weight is? And most people in our bariatric program didn't set a goal. They just said, basically, I want to be able to fit in a certain size clothing, or I want to be in Wonderland. And my goal is to be in Wonderland. That's my goal. I don't have like a hard number, but just to be in Wonderland would be great. A colleague said something to me that was really, really funny. And that is, welcome to the flat ass society. Welcome to the flat ass society. And that's basically the problem right now for me. I have no ass anymore. And so it's very hard for me to sit for a long period of time because it starts hurting. My bum starts hurting. And I just thought it was a really funny saying, welcome to the flat ass society. Number one key about this whole bariatric process and journey, you have to be patient. There's so many times I read on different Facebook groups, oh, I've only lost 10 pounds. Oh, I've only lost 5 pounds and I had my surgery 2 weeks ago. You have to be patient. I mean, yes, it's a big number, 223 pounds, but we're talking almost 2 years now that I have been busy with this. So it doesn't happen overnight. So you have to be patient. You have to accept your body under your clothes. You know, that's another thing. I have a droopy mess underneath. My skin is hanging to my knees, but you have to be proud of it. Your battle scars. Important thing about staying on track. Use your app. You have to constantly track what you're eating. Now, I have been using my app now for 15 months. And so I pretty well, sometimes I don't write it down, but I do have a more or less idea, knowing that a slice of bread is 100 calories, an egg is 100 calories, this equals 1 cup. So if you want to say this is 1 tablespoon, this is also equals 100 grams of protein. So this part here, if you have a piece of chicken that size is 100 grams. So when you're away from home, which I was, I'm not going to be bringing all my measuring cups with me and my scale and everything. So you just sort of calculate sort of in your head or with your app. But not using your app from the beginning is wrong. I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, I just recommend that you use an app in order to track, because if you're gaining weight, the fastest way to find out why you're gaining weight is to use your app and track the food you're eating. And you'll be like, oh my God, I'm eating way too many carbs, or oh my God, I'm not eating enough. Because that's another thing, less is more. I ate quite a bit this week and I still lost 2 pounds. So you do have to eat in order to lose weight. And that's been said many times over and over again. So accountability. Are you monitoring your accountability? My accountability is to all you guys who watch my video every week, or every other week in this case. My accountability is to you and to make sure that I stay on track. And I hope that I'm helping you also with your own accountability and staying on track as well. Setting a physical goal. So setting a physical goal, a plane trip, walking without a walker, walking in a marathon. So having a goal. So once you've plateaued or reached your goal, more to speak, and you don't think you're losing any more weight, then is when you have to start setting other goals. Like, okay, next year I'm going to walk in a marathon. And in 2 years I'm going to run in a marathon. Or for me, a physical goal first was back in November was to go to California for my best friend's 50th birthday. By the way, I weighed almost 80 pounds heavier then than I do now. And going on a train to Ottawa and taking part in a conference was a goal, and see how I do. And then in a month's time, I'm going to Amsterdam. That's a huge goal. That was a goal that I set 2 years ago, that I want to be able to fit in a plane seat and go to Amsterdam without my scooter. So that's happening on July 15th. I'm flying to Amsterdam. And writing your journey, keeping notes in your journal, and keeping up with NSVs, your non-scale victories, making sure you note them, and also with accepting any support. So make sure that you have a community around you that are supporting you. And if you have people coming from all of a sudden nowhere and starting to support you, accept the support. You need the support. You can't do it on your own. You absolutely can't do it on your own. You have to listen to your team and your practitioners. Don't think you know it better, because they're the team that knows best. And so that was the bariatric meeting that we had before I went to Ottawa. And we have a bariatric meeting coming up this Wednesday. So I'm going to talk about that at my next video next Sunday. I hope I get that right. Next Sunday is the big gay pride parade here in Toronto. Happy Pride. It's Happy Pride Month. And so I hope I get to it, and please bear with me. If you don't see it, I'll probably get it up the next day. But it's a busy time in the city, and the summer is always a busy time. And then on July 1st, I'm producing the big Canada Day celebrations, July 1st at Yonge Dundas Square. I'm the producer of the entire festival, and that keeps me busy as well. So all in all, I would say a pretty successful, actually a very successful week, that I ate basically normal food and I still lost 2 pounds. So a total of 223 pounds lost. At the moment, I weigh 227 pounds, and I started at 450 pounds. So yeah, pat on the back. And I would say, we are the champions. The Raptors did it. And we're really happy here in Canada, because it's Canada's team, that we won the championship. So that's it for now. Thanks so very much for coming back and joining me here at Finding Wendy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, as promised, welcome to Ottawa. So here I am at Parliament Hill. The building you're looking at is Centre Block. It's called Centre Block, and there's a memorial flame that's in front of Centre Block. And I'll show you a little bit close-up of Centre Block, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about Parliament Hill. So this is where the Canadian government meets, kind of like in Washington, Capitol Hill. This is the Canadian version in Ottawa. Ottawa is about a 4.5-hour drive from Toronto, northeast of Toronto. So Centre Block is under construction for the next 10 years. So Centre Block is closed for the next 10 years. And so the Canadian government, our Prime Minister, its cabinet, are all meeting now at a newly adapted and renovated area in this building. So this building is part of Parliament Hill, but it has now been transformed into the building that houses the government. And I actually went inside the building and did a little tour of it, which was really cool, and saw the Parliament in session with the Prime Minister and his caucus, and the opposition party, the PCs, and the NDPs. And so that's where the House sits. And then directly across from that building, you have the House where the Senate sits. So of course, as you know, when the House passes a law or decides to accept a bill, then the bill is sent to the Senate, which is in this building over here. And then once it passes the Senate, then it becomes law. So yeah, so that's here. And then behind this building is the St. Lawrence River here in Ottawa. So you have Central Block, and then here you have this wonderful, great memorial kind of waterfall. So this memorial was built for the celebration of the 100th year of Confederation of Canada. So Canada became a country or a confederation in 1867, and in 1967 was the 100-year anniversary, and they built this really cool memorial fountain. So in the middle you have the flame, and there's water coming out from the flame, so it's a really weird kind of effect that the flame isn't put out by the water. So that's neat, for sure. So as you can see, all the construction materials here in front of Centre Block, and for sure it's super cool to be here in Ottawa to experience this. I had a great time at the conference. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of new friends, and also met an old friend that I hadn't seen in 37 years. And so we just had dinner tonight. It was a wonderful time. So it's so far been a wonderful trip to come here to Ottawa for this conference and to experience our nation's capital. So I thought I'd share that with you all here, and seeing a little piece of Ottawa. So I hope you enjoy my little tour. Okay, we'll talk soon.